What's up, fam? I'm Jazz, and this is Blackxecutive, a networking podcast for Black creative pros by Black creative pros, sharing inspirational stories, actionable advice, and giving away the game to succeed in your business and your career. Join the network where dreamers become doers and the aspiring become inspired. Listen and watch on blackxecutive.com. Let's get to it. What's up, Blackxecutive fam, and welcome back to another episode of Season 2 of Blackxecutive Podcast. I'm your girl, Jazz, and today we're talking to Rod Pride. Rod is a designer and the owner of We Brand Culture, a web design company that designs and builds amazing things. Welcome to the show, Rod.
Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad to have you on the show. I know that you're one of my guests who I've known before the podcast. So it's always interesting to watch other creatives' journeys and kind of what you go through. So for our listeners who don't know you, can you say who you are and how did you get into the world of design?
Well, I'm Rod Pride, and the way I got into it, well, first, like I said, I'm the owner, well, one of the owners of We Brand Culture, I've always been doing web designs probably since I was like 26. I stumbled across Wix when they first, very, very first started, like
Mm-hmm.
before people even knew what they were. And I had to make a quick website for somebody, didn't know what I was doing. It was terrible. Didn't have any skills. I just knew how to do graphic design. So I was just making blocks and putting it all over the page or whatever. Ended up making something that worked. They liked it, and that's what started it. Prior to that, I've always been in the like art, but never knew how to bring it into the digital space.
Mm.
So took a break from that, and then finally got back to it. Um, as far as what got me to where I am now, it came from the demand. I was doing freelance,
Mm.
and I just needed a way to kind of vet customers, so I raised the price and made it an agency. But not me, me and a
Mm.
partner of mine, we raised the price to vet people out. So we started
Mm-hmm.
getting higher quality customers, and other people would kind of just fall off once you hit them with a price. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually what happens when I want to pay for your work.
pretty much.
Yeah, so I know that you have a background in graphic design and also computer science. So was able to really balance like that art and tech background. So what how have you kind of shaped that through your career?
Um, well, I taught myself how to code.
Mm.
I started with the typical HTML, CSS. I already knew how to design. So before the boom where everybody's a designer now, I was already designing. And I was pretty
Mm.
good at it. I had really no formal training on how to design. I just
Mhm.
had an eye for it. Like I had a pixel perfect eye for it. I knew where stuff should be, how it should be
Mhm.
laid out. I knew how font should look like. Until I started to formally teach myself, I kind of was just going off what I felt looked good. And
Mhm.
as far as like balancing it, right now you have to. If you can't balance design and code, you're pretty much out of the picture at this point. Like you gotta
Mhm.
wear both hats, especially if you want to become like a UI designer or something like that. Got to be able to know how to do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is kind of difficult for most people to pick up, but gotta know it if you want to be that today.
Yeah. I feel like if you are in a position where you don't have to know how to code, it's if you're with one of those huge companies. Like,
Yeah.
I'm with a huge company. So some of the designers that I have that I work with on a daily basis, they know a little bit, but they don't have to do it because we have like a dev team. But yeah, especially like if you're in a smaller company or even in a company, like a lot of companies have been downsizing and stuff lately. So, when creatives have to go, which creators are going to stay the ones that
Oh
can do
yeah,
multiple things.
that's a fact.
Yeah, so even though I don't have to do UI design on a daily basis, I'm always putting that reminder out there like I can do a little bit and not a
Yeah,
lot, but I can help a little bit.
yeah. You can do enough, be enough, learn enough to be dangerous. You'll be okay.
Yeah, you can make it. You can make it. Okay, so you got into tech space as a creative, so you're like an artist, but you also are a professional and you can navigate like on the product side and everything. So how did you intentionally go about leveling up your skills to really evolve in your profession?
It all starts from self. You gotta want to be better. So, we live in an age now where there's so much information that it can be overwhelming. So if
Mm.
you don't know how to organize the information, you'll get lost. So
Mhm.
I started from ground level. Like I went from like a entry level business analyst that wasn't I didn't know anything about any type of product, anything. I was just new.
Mhm.
And I got into that at a later stage. So I came in it with a background of design, but I didn't know the product side of it. So when I got into that,
Mhm.
I just started learning from my peers, reading books. I'm on blogs, I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm doing tutorials, I'm taking in everything that I can.
Right.
Like my 8 to 2 a.m., 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. was self study when I didn't, have my children or whatever. So and then when I did have them, it was from 10 to 2. So I was always putting in 6 to 4 hours a night.
Mm.
Like I don't really watch much TV. I do watch sports. I do know what's on TV. I just don't watch a lot of it because I'd rather try to level up my skills, which I kind of did that within a 5 year time span. I shot up to where I am
Mm.
now in my professional space. So it didn't take long, but it's all up to the person.
Yeah, yeah. So can you talk more about that? The importance of being a well-rounded creative and like not just focusing on understanding the art side of it, but also the business side of the industry.
Um, it's it's not an easy balance, but I mean you got to give and take because sometimes as a designer, my designer brain wants to do this, and
Mm.
you gotta do what the stakeholders want. Even though it's not the best looking thing, it might be the most functional. So
Mhm.
you have to be able to learn both sides of it. And then I've actually, not saying I'm just super expert at design. I kind of left learning design alone and went more to learning more of the business stuff. So I
Mm.
started learning like the development life cycle, all three methodologies. I mean, I do more agile, but
Mhm.
I mean, I came from waterfall at a company
Yeah.
that I was at, but we move more agile, and a lot more companies that have been kind of vetting me are agile. They like what I do or whatever. So
Yeah.
you definitely got to go out there and learn. But like I said, the information is out there. It's you got to learn information and apply to where it fits.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think like you said, a lot of companies in the past were more of a waterfall methodology, and now they're moving into agile. And you have to keep up with those trends in the industry to make sure that you understand the terminology. Because it's nothing worse than like being in a meeting for a tech company and they're like, so what's your work side? You do X or Y, and you're like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I had a guy we interviewed. He came in. We asked him what was waterfall, and he went into some other. I don't know what it was, and he was a black
Mhm.
guy, and I felt bad. So I did
Mm.
reach out like 5 6 months after that because I didn't want to do it right away. I waited till we hired,
Mhm.
and then I reached out and then kind of just put him on some game, and he was floored. He's like, man, I did not know what I was walking into. I was like,
Wow.
a lot of people don't. That's why you should always read up on the company before you apply. So,
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for reaching out and letting him know. We gotta help each other out. I mean, because I'm sure at that point it was like y'all knew he wasn't gonna
oh yeah,
get the
when that
position.
when I started, I'd close my notebook. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let them do the rest of this. So, I mean, I already knew.
Oh my gosh. Bless his heart. Okay, so that brings up an interesting point for me. So I'm a part of the interview circus and stuff too at my company. And so I know it can be a struggle sometimes to when you do have like candidates of color. I don't know how your company operates, but for me it doesn't happen enough as I want. And you want to help, you kind of want to make sure that they're like um getting through the door and having being treated the same as the other candidates. So can you talk a little bit about like how you've kind of used your influence in that space to kind of onboard more creatives of color?
Well, as far as my current job, is not many of us there, especially that do what I do. I mean, there are a lot
Mm.
of people. I mean, on my specific floor, it's not at all as many as
Mm.
people as I would like it to be.
Mhm.
So when we do get an opportunity to interview people of color, I definitely try to. Well, I'm always in there, but I try to look deeper into what they have beyond their resume
Yeah.
because sometimes they may leave stuff out, and I'm the type of person I'm gonna go look at
Mm.
your LinkedIn and I'm gonna go
Mhm.
look at your Facebook. Not say I'm looking for nothing like that. I just want to see if you got some examples of what may make you a better candidate for this job.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, I haven't done it in a while because of obvious reasons, so we haven't been
Mhm.
hiring like that. But I try to get in there and help people as much as I can. And when we do get somebody in the door, I mean, it's an unknown. You see them on the floor, you kind of look at each other, and then you may
Mhm.
have a conversation at the break room somewhere, real quick. I mean, that's normally
Mhm.
how it is because we are at a very heavily dominated white company, and
Mhm.
I mean, it's starting to show for more people in, but
Mhm.
it's not happening as fast as I wish it would. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a slow process, but it's happening. But yeah, I know that's important work, and I know any opportunity I can to like be on an interview circuit or be a part of a recruiting campaign, I'm trying to do that because I'm like, we got to get more of us in the door, and it can be dismal sometimes when you look at the numbers compared to like the overall company of how many creatives of color are there, and you're like,
yeah.
oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. So it's good to know that you're also a part of that mission. so so now you've had the experience of kind of like working in a professional setting and owning your career there, and then being an entrepreneur and owning your own business. So during this time, I'm sure you see a lot of patterns and a lot of different things in the industry that stand out to you. So what is something that you have an unpopular opinion on, be it about the creative process or like the product design process, the business side of the industry, whatever?
I mean, just from the I guess I guess the digital marketing space, I would say everybody thinks they can do it. I mean, there's a new
Mm-hmm.
digital marketing agency popping up every day, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that do it don't really understand what they're doing. They just see an opportunity to outsource.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been a part of the process of making a product from A to Z and shipping it
Mm-hmm.
out. They know, let me go to here, hire this person, and then go here and deliver it. They don't even know how to do the project management part of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you knew how to do the PM part of it, you could easily facilitate and you can build an agency doing that. But a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't know that. They think, hey, oh, this person's doing it, not knowing that I got 15 years of design and development skills under my belt, and
Mm-hmm.
I do PM in my job. So it's like I'm a project
Mm-hmm.
manager at work by trade, and I do this outside of work. So I'm like the
Mm-hmm.
best of all worlds to bring it together. So not
Mm-hmm.
saying that people can't do it. I just wish people take more time to educate themselves on what they're doing.
Mm. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. And I feel like a lot there are a lot of roles that get saturated like that,
Oh
especially
yeah,
like in the tech space. It's so quickly everybody wants to do it. Like just like you just said earlier, everybody was on the design wave and
yeah.
going with that and trying to
I,
keep up with that trend.
I mean, even on the professional side, everybody thinks coding is easy. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not easy.
No.
It's nowhere near easy. It's I mean, to be able to code professionally, it's like when I got to where I am now and the role that I'm in, and I'm working so closely with the developers, I'm like, I don't know what y'all are coding for, but this is not it. Like these guys are like geniuses.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's
it's crazy.
intense.
And like
It is.
this is not just no HTML tags. See, it's not that. This is front end, back end, database, servers, all kind of stuff to bring it all together. And one guy knows how to do this. So I'm like, what
Mm.
about the
Oh
guy that's at
yeah.
home tapping on his computer making a web page that says hello world or something like that? I'm like, this guy
Yeah.
needs to probably go get a mentor.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I definitely think that's it, especially when there are a lot of resources out there that make it accessible. And I think that can be a positive thing in some way because you have a lot of people that are self-taught and they learn a lot and they do well because some people can pick up on it like that. But like you said, when you get into a world where you're actually dealing with devs on a regular basis and you see the intensity and the level and the meticulousness of what they're doing and the importance of having clean code and
Exactly.
that functions and when you have a multi-billion dollar asset on top of that is depending on that when you have clients who are running that software and depending on that you
Yep.
know uh yeah, so yeah, it's a whole nother ball game, but yeah, it's definitely not easy, especially coming from me from someone who has tried to learn several times to code in different languages and has failed miserably.
And they never tell them about the contractual agreements that are behind
Mhm.
that too. So it's not as fun as they think it is to sit around coding. You have to be within a certain contractual agreement. Otherwise, you can be out of
Mhm.
compliance and be fined or
Mhm.
something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the productivity level is crazy. Like, even I know I was surprised to learn not too long ago, like with some of the billing at my company, like how they have to track with Jira. They track a little because we work in Jira too, but they have to track their hours and stuff and when they're coding a little bit differently. So even like the way that they get paid is evaluated differently. I thought that was crazy because I I just assume we all got paid on the same
Nah,
model, you know?
we like I do billing for my particular product that I'm over, and I use Jira and I use PlanView, and they definitely have to
Mhm,
track their time. I got to
mhm,
do the reports, and I have to make sure it's yeah, it can be a little tedious.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. So with you having the best of all worlds in your role, um, a lot of creatives listen to the show, you know, so your choice creatives. So how do you feel like creatives can work best with product management, and like how can they help make the product process easier from start to finish? Like, you know,
I
just
think
any
that's
advice?
I think that's more on the product manager. They have to be more
Mm,
empathetic of who they're working with. Like
mm,
you can't just always be get it done, get it done, get it done. It's like who am I dealing with? You got to know the
mhm,
strengths and the weaknesses of people you're working with because not everybody is going to know how to jump in right away and do something. Like in my company, a lot of devs rotate between different accounts. Like
mm,
they may work on this account, then they'll move to this account, but they've been at the company 20 years. So they
mhm,
know the premise of it, but if you bring a brand new creative into the mix, they don't know anything. So as a product manager,
mm,
you should be able to know what dev or what designer or whatever the role is, who to sit them with to learn. Because there's really no,
mhm.
and that's another misconception about that. A lot of people think there's a training manual when you get into these jobs. There's no training.
No.
You're dropped next to a person, and they hope and pray that this person is nice enough, and they have to be nice to teach you what they want. And I mean,
Mhm,
I've been in some situations where sit next to a guy, I'm like, man, this guy ain't gonna teach me nothing, and ended up teaching me the best stuff he could teach me. So
mhm,
I think it's just more of just knowing your people, which most managers should definitely work on. I mean, there are
mm,
a lot of training on how to be more empathetic, and I think a lot of companies are swaying that way now. It's not as
mhm.
you know. I mean, there are micromanagers, but they're starting to lighten up a little bit. They do it in different ways now.
Yeah.
Micromanaging is a little bit different now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Definitely feel like you think you're gonna get on the job training. I think that just has to be unfortunately, it just has to be let go, like that idea that you think somebody's gonna come and hold your hand
Definitely
when
not.
when you're onboarded to this team in the tech world. It just does not happen as often as you think at all. You literally would just show up and they're like, "Okay, and so this is what you're working on." Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Like when I got where I'm at now, they gave me a 6 month window to learn the job. I did it in two, but I didn't know I,
Mhm,
I didn't know I had 6 months. Not saying I would have took the whole 6 months, but when
mhm,
I took it over officially from the guy that I took it from, they was like, "Oh man, we gave you 6 months to learn this. You learning it too." Then they sent
mhm,
me sent me to New York for a meeting. So I'm still new,
mhm.
but I'm on the plane headed here to do a meeting that I don't know anything. I still don't know the job. I know how to do the job, but I don't know the
Yeah.
ins and outs of the job. But
Right,
how it
right.
is.
I mean, and I think that's just a part of like tech being just such a competitive space and such a saturated space now that so many people are moving into it. Like you said, some people are self-taught, some people spend years going into at college studying this stuff, and then some people sit at home and build a Hello World website and try to get a job and
Pretty
land
much.
in the associate role.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
it's all over the place. So with that being said, like with you having to, like you said earlier, because you have the best of both worlds at work, you were able to transfer that over to rebrand culture. We brand culture. So with that happening, like how did that kind of take place? How did you start to like build what a team was gonna look like? Or did you say like, hey, I can wear all the hats, I can do most of this myself with my partner?
Initially, we started ourselves. Like it was me. I did all of the design work and some development work. It's two other people. One of them she does design and then she does social media marketing and stuff like that. She's real good at
Mhm,
that. She does that for her job professionally. And
mm,
then we had a person who could do development and her main thing is photography and videography and building content like that because
mhm.
videos pretty much rule everything online now.
Yes.
So initially we started doing the work ourselves, and still is like that to this day. We rarely outsource stuff because I guess that could be a bad thing because you can't scale as much if you do it all
Yeah.
yourself. But
Mhm,
still, I mean, we've been doing this for a few years. I would kind of say it's still in the baby steps of building it. I mean, right now I kind of
mhm,
do majority of the stuff now because of time constraints and people doing other stuff for their job and stuff like that. So I've kind of
mhm,
been doing majority of it myself. So I kind of take on several projects, but I space them out a certain way. I use my project management skills to space them out a certain way to where I can do everything at one time
Mm-hmm.
without them conflicting with each other. So
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so y'all have a small team and then y'all just kind of work with the team. Have you thought about like scaling it to be like this mass company, or are you kind of just like, nah, I know some people are okay with just having a small team, you know?
I definitely am. I'm
Mhm.
actually in the process. I started last September shifting more to web design and SEO. So I've been
Mm,
doing SEO on my own site, and it's been working. Like I've been, once I get it to a certain place, I'm gonna hand it off to I'm gonna hire somebody, I'm gonna outsource, and I'm
mhm,
gonna let them just maintain what I got. Like if I get us to the second page, here's the plan. Continue to do this until we get to the first page, and then let's just maintain it, and then we can go out and
mhm,
get clients. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. So because with everything shifting online, people need to be found. So the
mhm.
best thing to do is SEO. Like just doing web design and hey, here's the website and going on about your business is not going to
Yeah.
get the money. But if you do SEO and you do it right, now you got a customer for as long as they want to rank. So that's
Yes.
continuous money coming in. So I've been working on making that shift here the last few months.
Yes. SEO is everything. Content is king. Always got a champion. Always got a champion content. I feel like we get slept on so much in the tech space, but we are really king around here. So
I don't see how. Definitely don't see how.
yeah. So as far as like you just said with SEO, you're working on it yourself and then eventually you'll have to outsource it. When do you hit that point as an entrepreneur? When do you realize like I can't continue to do this myself? I need to hire someone and pick this up.
Um, I mean, I guess you get to that point where you have so many projects you can't do them all yourself. Especially
Mhm.
when people, you'll have people come in and say, I need a whole campaign set up with, social media stuff, landing pages, email
Mhm.
marketing. I need all that set up. So that takes a minute to set up yourself and the test and the work with the client or whatever. So at that point, when you get 5 or 6 of those at one time, it's something to outsource. So
Mhm.
I do a pretty good job of uh, processes and putting this all in a Google Drive, and I can just send you to the Google Drive that has a Google Doc and a video showing you how I do what I do. Just a real quick video rundown of where everything is set up.
Wow.
I have templates that I use for people on how the page should be laid out, but the design piece they have to do themselves or whatever. But this is how it should be
Mhm.
laid out, so the functionality works whether it's
Mhm.
a desktop or a mobile size screen. So while I'm building my stuff, I'm also documenting everything.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can't scale without documentation. So when I
I
get to
was
that point,
yeah.
then I'll be ready to go.
Okay, I was just I commend you so much for doing that because so many that documentation is skipped over so much, and just because that process that you have is so important to document because, like you said, you can't even scale to a second person
Nope.
if you can't tell them like how you've been doing what you've been doing, and that a lot of times it's just like I just need you to help or I just I'll pay you to do this particular task and there's no process documented, and so I think I know for me as a technical writer by trade, even though that's not my role right now, um, it's always hard for me to kind of sell when I'm like trying to work with freelance clients. I'm like, hey, and also I can write your documentation for this, in addition to the services that I'm providing. And it's always kind of like, that's not really that important. And I'm like, it is really important because like if even as something as simple as you hire me to, write some articles for you or you hire me to do some UX writing for your UI, once I'm not there, where's the style sheet for the future writers? When someone creates a new component or a new page and the content has changed on the page, the content is different. Who's going to write that? And how are they going to know that it needs to be consistent? Especially if it's not someone who's a trained UX writer,
Yeah.
stuff that we see, our eyes are trained to see. You may not see that. Like you don't catch that the casing on this is off, but I do. And I see it
Yeah.
makes your stuff look sloppy, you know.
True. Yeah.
That documentation is important.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I mean, you can't just put anybody in that role just because I'm a
Mhm.
good writer on my blog doesn't mean I can go into that role and be just as effective. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, the documentation is everything. I think that's an important part of entrepreneur skills that often gets looked over. Like make sure that you're tracking stuff as you go. So as I know we already kind of touched on a lot of different aspects of rebrand culture already. But what makes it unique from like other digital marketing companies? Like you said earlier, there are so many out there that just spit up. I know you say you have 15 years of experience, but what else is like a selling point? What are your value props?
Mine would probably be if the turnaround time on a product that we can turn around. Like I can get your site. I mean, it's gonna cost you, but I can get you a site up, running, tested, all that in a week.
Mm,
It's gonna cost you, but I can get it done as most. Um, and that's mainly because I'm doing it myself. But it
mm-hmm.
also takes collaboration with the client. If they're dragging their feet, I can't get it done in a week.
Yeah.
But once again, I have a process for that. So once I onboard you into our system, you get an email with a
Mm-hmm.
form. Fill the form out. If you don't know what you want to put in the form, you can always come back to it. It's just a Google form. It's nothing even that fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all dependent on that. So I think the turnaround time and the attention to detail,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess just the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we have examples, we have case studies, we can show you how to do every single thing you want. Whether you want an e-com site, you want a blog, you want a regular site, you want landing pages, email marketing, all of that. Like we just not. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're not just talking about it. We can show proof that we've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people do SEO and they don't have proof. They say, "Oh, I can do SEO." Where your
Mm-hmm.
analytics at? Like like
Yeah.
what are we looking at? Like
Mm-hmm.
I see that so much, and I mean, I always try to help. I don't hate on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than enough clients out there. Like you getting into the same space as me doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Like I don't even really promote. Like I get a lot of my probably 80 to 90% of my business is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll do something for somebody, or we'll do something for somebody. They'll put it out. Who did that? They'll send them to us. So
Mm-hmm.
we do very few ads, I guess you can say,
Mm. Some good social proofing for you. Like, hey.
pretty much.
Yeah, you need that.
And
So yeah,
I
go
guess
ahead.
I could say too. I mean, I did have a mentor when I started this,
Mm,
and he ran a. I mean, he ran a. Well, he not ran. He runs a digital marketing agency, and they make 7 figures a year.
mm,
So he didn't mind showing me the ropes and what to do and how to set things up, which was very important because otherwise I would just be out doing it myself, making
mhm,
mistakes and trying to fix them. So I will definitely give him props on I actually met him through the program we was in. The guy, yeah,
mhm.
Zach, yeah. So
Yeah.
good guy.
Yeah. So for listeners, we were actually in a mentorship program in my hometown. So you know what? And that was actually a really, really good program. I know I talk
Definitely,
a lot about mentorships on this show, or I guess we'll talk about it, but I actually Rod and I joined like this program strategically to pair you with mentors and work on your career goals and whatnot. So I definitely found a lot of value in it. And I'm sure from what you're saying, you found some value in that too.
definitely did.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So and my mentor was actually a project manager,
Oh yeah,
ironically. You know what's also funny? I also ended up finding her a job. It
that's a
was
plus.
interesting. I was networking my butt off because I was trying to make the transition to the company I'm in now before I realized that's where I was going. And I came across an opportunity. And you know, sometimes like I know people say like even if you don't think you're qualified, still go to the interview. It
Yep.
was one of those things where they hit me up and I was like, I know I'm not qualified for this job. I don't even understand half the terms. But I said, I'm going to show up and make this connection because maybe he can connect me with someone else. And I don't want to waste his time. And so I realized that my mentor would probably be a good connect. So I met up with him and I was upfront. I was like, hey, these are my skills. I'm not sure how I could plug in here. And he told me what he was looking for. And I was like, hey, I can't actually do those things, but I know someone who can. I can get you connected to her. Then
Oh
they
yeah.
had an interview and she actually landed the
Mm.
job.
See, networking.
Networking is everything. Networking is everything. So I thought that was a funny outcome that came out of that. But it was definitely a dope program. And I believe the creator of Match or the co-founder of Match was also
Yep.
one of the mentors.
That's really who I wanted, to be honest. But I mean, Zach's
Yeah, I
cool.
think everybody wanted him.
Zach is a cool guy, but I definitely wanted him for what I was trying to do at the time. So
Yeah, it was cool just to we had like a speed dating thing and we got to meet all the mentors. And I think it was cool just to like when he was like, yeah, so I created Match and he talked about what it was like to be on the internet in the early days and basically how everything he learned from the internet was because no one else was there to teach it
yep,
because it was new.
yep.
Yeah. Really cool. Ran a tangent, but that's still a cool fact. And I think that's important to highlight the importance of mentorship. So to kind of speak on that, how did you know that you were ready for a mentor?
I mean, I guess me personally, I'm a very teachable person, so I don't mind people. I don't care how old I am. I'm gonna always have a mentor. I mean, I've had mentors from, I mean, the earliest age I can remember is probably 7 or 8. So
Mm,
I always had some type of mentor, where there was a coach or like a legit mentor or somebody at school or something like that coming up. I guess, like I said, I was fortunate. I was in certain situations where I was identified as more of a gifted child. So
mm,
people would seek to come and mentor me or whatever, I guess to keep, even though
mm,
I came from a 2 parent household, sometimes they see black children, they think that they need that extra, whatever. Like I
right.
got a whole daddy at home, but I'll take the mentorship or whatever and learn whatever I can learn. So
Mm,
I mean, I've always had mentors. I mentor. It's a very important part, and some people are too prideful to get a mentor because they feel like they know
mm,
everything, or they don't want anybody telling them something, or they want to learn the hard way. Like take the mentor and skip the line.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Take the mentor and skip the line. I'm gonna have to quote that because that's a good one. Yeah, I feel you on that. And yeah, some people are too prideful to have mentors and feel like they know everything. And I feel I don't never that mentality. I don't think you can grow when you feel like if I know everything, what is there to learn, right? I mean, this universe is so vast. There's so many billions of people on this planet. How could me in my 30 years know everything?
Exactly.
There's no way. How could me in my 80 years know everything? You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, I feel you on that, but you definitely have to just like have that humility and say like, look, I'm going to find someone who has already done this. And 9 times out of 10, almost everything you've done, someone has done something similar to it or did that exact thing already.
Yeah, people do it at work all the time. They don't think they're
Mhm.
getting mentored, but when you don't know something at work, what you gonna sit at your desk and not do it and get fired? Or you gonna go
Right.
ask for some help? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you're doing it either way. Yeah. And I think another important call out that you said is that you also mentor. And I think that's so important that you have to give back. So I'm the same way. I still have a mentor. Every time I go to a new company, I try to find like someone who either indirectly or directly explicitly is my mentor.
yeah,
And so I have a mentor at my new company, and she's in a VP role. She knows I'm aspiring to get to a VP role, and I mentor associates who are trying to get to my role. So like it has to continue on and just to give back. And the further you are in your career, like it's I think like sometimes it doesn't feel like it's happening, but the more that you kind of move and learn things, you kind of look back and realize how much knowledge you have now that you can share. You didn't
that's
even
true.
realize that was happening. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So one thing I wanted to ask you about the name We Brand Culture, where did that come from and who is the we?
We is us as black people. I mean, if you look at it,
Yes.
like the word culture, if you look up the word culture, there, I mean, they're talking about black culture. A lot of black culture runs a lot of stuff in the world. Like, regardless if
Mhm.
we get credit for it or not,
Mhm.
it stems from us. Like, we may not get credit for it, and some people get mad about it. It's nothing you're going to do about it other than make a change. Like, do something. Like, people get mad. Like when an app takes off. Oh, the black culture made the app take off. We didn't get any equity about it. You didn't build the app. Like you didn't
Yeah.
code anything. You didn't go get funding. You didn't do anything. All you did was
Mhm.
use it. You're the product. You're the
Yeah.
product. You are the proof of concept right now.
Yes.
There's a hot one right now. I don't want to date this. I'm not gonna say the name of it. There's a hot one right now that people are upset because
Yes.
it just got $1 billion evaluation, which is kind of low for an
Mhm.
app, and people are upset because no black people got credit for it. Nobody coded that.
Mhm.
We wasn't in the meetings and none of that. We got presented it to us.
Mhm.
We used it. We provided proof of concept. They got paid. So
Yeah. Imma drop the app. Cause yeah, I plan on dropping this interview fairly soon, so
yeah,
it'll still be popping when I drop it. But that conversation about Clubhouse, I feel like a lot of stuff that's come out of that has been interesting to me. One being the possibility of there being another round of funding in which a certain percentage is allocated towards Black investors, because of the 60% user demographic that we make up allegedly of the app. I'm not saying it's not true, just saying I don't know the quotes on that number, but um and I think it's interesting too that we flock to it as a user, as a product, as you said, as a tester, because it's still in beta, which
Is it in
people keep
beta?
forgetting that it's still in beta. And that's why these feature updates keep happening, and we keep getting these new things that are going on because it's in beta. And while that's happening, we're kind of trying to stake our claim when we could create our own competitor app.
There is a competitor. It's called, and I don't like the name of it, but there is a competitor. It's called the Cookout,
I heard, yeah.
and I can't find it. Like I look for it, I cannot find
Hmm.
it. Cannot
Yeah.
find it. Oh no, I don't know where it is. So
Neither can I. And I've heard the same, that Cookout is a competitor app, but I have not been able to find it myself either.
so
So
and that's another thing is if you
hmm
do make the competitor, learn how to market it. Like if you
hmm
there's a user base right there waiting on you. You can literally take. I mean, if it's the same app from what I'm hearing.
hmm
Now there are some people who are gonna shun it and say, no, I think I'm gonna stick with Clubhouse. That happens, but
hmm
who says that? Because I seen a Gary V interview the other day where he said he doesn't know if Clubhouse is going to make it because he didn't know if it was a real product or was it a feature. Can another product,
mm.
like a Twitter or an Instagram or a Facebook, well, Facebook and Instagram are the same, could they take that and make it a feature? That's what he didn't know. He said, I'm all in on this
Mm.
because I don't know if it's a real actual product or is it just a feature.
That is really interesting. I didn't think about that. I almost say I feel like the appeal of Clubhouse is the fact that it's invite only right now, which we know is temporary, but we know Facebook started off using the same model
Yep.
until they eventually made it public. But I think that's one of the appeals. I think one of the appeals is the fact that you are not forced to have a conversation. You're not forced to be on stage. You don't really have to give away identifying information about yourself, so you don't have to link your Twitter or your IG. You don't have a wall to constantly post things about yourself. So really, if you're careful with how you name yourself on Clubhouse, you can be somewhat anonymous.
Yep.
I think that's the appeal of it. And so I feel like if you take it and you directly force people to use it through like Twitter, like they have it linked to their Twitter account or Facebook, it kind of takes away some of that anonymity. And I think some of that appeal may go away.
Twitter does have a competitor. A lot of people don't even know what it is. It's called Twitter Spaces. It's out right
Mm.
now. They already rolled it out. It's the exact same thing as Clubhouse. So a lot of
Mm.
people don't know about it yet, but I think they'll put more marketing behind it, and it should be pushing this year. So
Wow. Already, huh?
already.
I guess, I mean, and I feel like I know that I don't know if you've heard, but Clubhouse sometimes is called Cap House. There we go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Cap House.
Honestly, I stopped using it for that reason. I'm like, man, everybody in here is an expert in something. Like like I don't know. So
Yeah, yeah. I still love it. I use it because I found enough rooms where it's not that stuff is not as important. Like I'm in a lot of rooms where writers collab or designers collab or we share ideas, stuff where you don't have to
yeah,
get on stage and be somebody to say something,
pretty much.
So I found some of those that have been useful, but I feel like a part of that again is because it's not tied to an IG or a Twitter unless you want it to be. Once you
Yeah,
start doing that and you can link people to their actual identities and you can actually see that you're just talking,
yeah.
are people gonna want to be on board with that?
Pretty much. Like I said, I have found some very useful rooms. I got a lot of good information from, I guess you could say pseudo celebrities, people that are not like big, huge, like on
Mhm.
brand celebrities, but they're like internet celebrities, like big podcasters, YouTubers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like go in the rooms with them and they'll start talking about stuff, and it's like I learned a lot of stuff by doing that.
Mhm.
So, but there is a lot of people that go in other rooms. I made $1 million off this and all that and this and this and that, and then you go do your
Mhm.
research on them, and they like it doesn't match up.
It
So,
doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah, you definitely have to take it with a grain of salt. I think everything on the internet requires discernment,
oh yeah,
because it's always some people capping on the internet. But from your perspective as a product manager, I'm curious about like what are your thoughts on Clubhouses? I know this is now turning to a Clubhouse conversation. I'm gonna pivot back. But what are your thoughts on like the UI? Because I feel like that's one of the weakest parts of it. And I think the visual appeal of it is very low.
it's terrible. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
know. I didn't know the when you first land on the page and you
Mhm.
scroll up and look at the rooms. I didn't know that was called the hallway.
Mhm.
It makes sense when you
Yeah.
think about it. I was in a room, I guess, for one of the developers, and he was talking about it, and he was. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. It's called the hallway, but yeah, the UI is
Mhm.
terrible. But
Mhm.
I mean, like they say, if you ship when it's perfect, you might have shipped too late. So they may have just been
Yeah.
trying to get something out there
Yeah.
as soon as possible. I'm pretty sure the UI is going to change.
Mhm.
I've seen them add some interactions and stuff like that here and there. Like I'm the guy when they roll the new features out and that screen pops up, I'm reading. I
Mhm.
want to know what they
Me
changed.
too. Me too.
Some people
Yeah.
just click off to get to the rooms. I want to know exactly what changed so I can tell people.
Mhm.
I know, like, hey, you may not want to do this because you're gonna get kicked off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, same. I've been keeping up with the feature updates too, and I like that they kind of added the way that you could customize your interests and stuff like that. But yeah, the UI is horrible. Only reason I knew that was called the hallway is because hearing other people talk about it in Clubhouse, like onboard experience as a whole is not all that great. I wanted to create my own club. Literally spent weeks researching, trying to figure out how do I create my own club for Blackxecutive. Couldn't figure it out until literally I joined a Facebook group for Clubhouse and someone posted it in there and it linked me to another doc somewhere
mm,
else that walked me through how to do it. So I was like, come on, y'all gotta, I know it's in the beta stage, so I'm trying to give it some grace. I know what it's like, especially working in the product development space. You have to, you know what that's like,
yeah,
but man.
I'm with you. I still don't know how to do it. I need to go Google that myself. But yeah, I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to do something because I was trying to find other black designer and developers. I didn't really see them on there. Now they're starting to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But initially when I first got on there, I didn't see a lot. I said maybe I should start a room or a
Mm-hmm.
group and people can join and do whatever they want to do. If they see the name, they'll know, okay, that room's for me
Yeah.
or that club's for me. So
Yeah. Are we friends on there? I don't remember. I
we
don't
are.
know if we can. We are. I will have to
Yeah.
find you, add you to some clubs because I've found my way into some clubs. I'm in a couple of them for designers and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting experience. I know it's a little off topic from our interview, but I think it's cool to have this conversation with someone else who's in the product space, especially a product manager, because like this is like pretty much something that you do.
Yeah.
Launch these products and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we've launched some ugly products, but I mean it works. It got the job done.
Yes.
It is what it is, and we've moved on. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You just got to do what you do and move on. Okay, so kind of pivoting back into like your daily workflow and what that looks like because, during the day, you're like super product manager and then in the evening, you're like super entrepreneur. So, what does your daily workflow look like on average?
I mean actually since I've started working from the house, it actually got lighter.
Mhm.
The way I space my meetings out, unless there's like something going on, I don't schedule back to back meetings. We have an unspoken rule at work where we don't do meetings on Friday.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, you'll have somebody try to squeeze one in every now and then, but I'm not accepting it
Mhm.
unless it's like something important. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I mean, I do my emails in the morning. We have our meetings. We prepare for our releases. I pretty much try to do all my stuff on the front end. That way, I'm kind of just not really coasting, but kind of just on call for the remainder of the sprint. So while
Mhm.
we're getting ready to put something out, like if something goes wrong, if I got to rebuild something, like I have to rebuild something here that may cause an issue because it's actually going to double the price. So I'm preparing myself mentally to have this conversation with
Mm.
the stakeholder because like they thought it was going to be a small change, but like most people that don't know about creative stuff, it's not
Mhm.
that easy. Like
Yeah.
we have to back code out, we have to redo stuff, we got to get it retested, we got to revalidate it, we got to send it to the stakeholder for them to test. We got to do
Mhm.
some ADA stuff. It's all over the place.
Mhm.
So we're going to charge for all that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So, I mean, my day is pretty simple. I got a pretty good workflow. Like I said, I do emails, meetings, um, and I just kind of plan the remainder of the year. As far as
Mhm.
sprints, they send in requests, and I have to find out what day works for it or whatever. We do like 24 releases a year, and we do like 4 big ones.
Mhm.
So like right now, I'm just working on a bigger one we got coming. So that takes a majority of my time, making sure we got everything in line for that. Because a
Mhm.
lot of people, like I say, when it comes to code, a lot of people don't know it's something called ADA, and
Yeah.
if you don't get it right, it can cause some major problems. So that's what I'm really working on, focusing on right now.
Yeah.
And it's subjective to who's testing it. Like
Yeah.
it's still a human being putting their eyes on this at the end of the
Yes.
day. So one person will
Yeah.
say this, you do the next scan, oh this and that. But like, but that person said, they're like that person doesn't matter. I'm doing it now. So
Yeah.
it's a back and forth battle that I've been dealing with the last 2.5 years, 3 years since I've been doing this role.
Yeah, yeah, and one thing I would say too that I noticed is that a lot of it can be subjective because tech is still, even though it's an established industry, like it's still a lot of things that are new that a lot of times don't pop up until they pop up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh well, now this is an issue. Like we
Yep.
didn't know, we didn't realize that was an issue, but now it is, and you
That's
gotta pay.
that is a fact. Nate, and that is a well, they give us opportunity to fix it before we gotta pay, but you only get so many chances.
Yes. Yeah, for real, for real. And I think that I know for me, that was like a very different awakening, being on the product side and seeing that. And it's like, I think in some other roles, sometimes you kind of that blow gets softened, but when you're in the tech space and the product side, like, nah,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna feel that.
Oh yeah, that is a fact.
Yeah, yeah. So you in the evening, you're in your entrepreneur flow. What are your favorite tools for like managing those tasks?
So when I do my own stuff, I use right now. I mean, I've tried a few different ones. Right now, I'm using something called HoneyBook,
Mm,
and it's like an all-in-one. I guess you could kind of say like a CRM tool, but it has
mm,
everything in it. Like it has, you can bill, you can make templates for your billing, you can make templates for your emails,
mm.
you can communicate with the customer that way you don't have 50 emails all over the place or different email threads.
Nice.
You kind of put it all in one. So I've tried several different ones. So I'm using that. I'm using HoneyBook. I use Asana for my personal
Mm,
organization, and of course I use Slack. I got a few automations going through Slack, which is the only reason I use it because I'm not talking to anybody other than other programs.
mhm,
So when a customer, I mean, when a client sends an email to HoneyBook, I get an alert here, then I get it does this.
mhm,
I'm trying to pull myself out of certain things. So like if I'm asking for an asset from them, it's set up to go to my Google Drive
mm,
and it stays there instead of me having to go through 15 emails. And I just started using that in July because at first I was just using
mm,
email and it got a little messy. And I think I got a discount where it's like $1 a month. And after that, it's
mm,
40 a month. So I was like, I can't beat $1 a month. Let me try this out. So I'm gonna
mm.
stick with the $40 a month when I get done because it's definitely worth it. So not trying to give HoneyBook an endorsement, but it's definitely a pretty good tool for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that sounds dope, especially since you can automate things. I know that's something I'm still looking for tools to help with that because I'm like, I have so many things going and I'm like, I need just some of the stuff to be
Oh
automated.
yeah.
Some stuff I shouldn't have to do manually every single day.
You should look
Yeah.
into Zapier too, 'cause I mean you can go in there and a lot of that is free.
I've
So
tried them. I've tried them. I'll have to pick them back up. I'll
yeah.
need to play with it a little bit more. Yeah, for sure. You also, I noticed you mentioned Asana. One thing I always loved about Asana, I used to use Asana. I'm in Jira now. But one thing I love about Asana is the micro animations. Like when like the unicorn that goes across the screen
Oh
when
yeah,
you
yeah,
accomplish your
yeah,
task. I think that's so important. I think that's such like customer centric product design that people often sleep on. Like
yeah.
how do you gamify and make something fun like managing a bunch of tasks for work? Pretty boring, you
Pretty
know.
much.
And Asana managed to do that with their UI. I appreciate those things for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, plug in a lot of products just then, but I swear y'all none of them pay me. They need to though. Hit me up. I can use that check. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So, what is a problematic workflow that you have, behavior that you have in your workflow?
Um, I would probably say maybe spending too much time on one task instead of breaking it up.
Mm,
Um, and I know what it is now. Now I watched a movie called Soul, and they brought up something about the flow state, which I read about that in a book. So
mhm,
sometimes, like when I'm designing something for like a client, I'll look up and I've been sitting there for 7, 8 hours,
mm,
back not hurting, none of that.
mhm,
I mean, just working.
mhm,
So I'm trying to figure out how to, not saying work less, but work more efficient. Because
mhm,
sometimes I'll get to being too tedious. Like, oh, let me do this. Oh, don't like that. Let me switch this. Oh, don't like
mhm,
that. Let me fix this. And then by the time I send it to the client, they love it. They love like the first iteration of it.
mhm.
I'm on iteration 20, but I
Yeah.
could have just sent them the first one and they'd have been happy with it. So I
Mhm,
think one is definitely just spending too much time on stuff and managing emails. Um,
mhm,
Not at work. I'm pretty good at it at work, but on my personal like emails can get up there, like, and client emails will get buried, which is why I switched to like Honeybook,
Mhm.
because I don't
Mhm.
have to worry about it. It's always up on my computer,
Mhm.
and I see it pings me when a client reaches out with a question or whatever. And I answer it real quick, like I'm at work, and get back to what I'm doing. So
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's smart. Seems like HoneyBook has really helped you out a lot. I swear, y'all don't have to deal with them. I promise. I promise I don't. Okay, right. So, what are a few steps that you would tell someone who is looking to maybe during the day they do the same thing. Maybe they're like, I'm a product manager at work, and I feel like I can take these skills elsewhere and like create my own thing. What would you tell them to do to kind of get started, or even to vet to see if that's something they want to do?
um first thing they should probably do is try freelancing. I mean, you can take this skill set and go freelance. And there's a lot of companies that hire you as a freelancer to do the same work you do for them in your spare
Mhm.
time. Like you can go to these freelance sites, and like if you're a project manager or a product manager or whatever, you can go on there and just take one project and see if you can translate your skills from work to over there and
Mhm.
get the same results. If you can, you have a business. So now
Mhm.
take on 5 clients. It may not take you but a few hours to do what they need you to do, but you have a business now. And it's not going to
Mhm.
take you 8 hours to do it. It doesn't take me 8 hours to do my job.
Mhm.
So, because I'm efficient with it. But if you could take those same skills and relate them over to a freelance situation, now you got a business, now turn it into a business, scale it up, show other people how to do it also. And that way you pull yourself out of it and you're just not really micromanaging them. You're just making sure they're doing your process
Yeah.
to get the same results. So, um, that's what I would do as far as that. But as far as like on the other side of it, like a designer or a developer or something like that, start building, start doing stuff for
Mhm.
free. A lot of people don't want to do stuff for free.
Mhm.
Do it for free or super cheap until you get
Yeah.
enough to build a portfolio, and then you start charging more.
Yeah. Yeah, people sleep on that. When I was first starting to venture out into the UXW space, UX writing space, and my background was just in technical writing, and while they're very similar and overlap, there are some differences and concepts I had to learn that I didn't know. You know, I went out and like was looking on sites that take volunteers so that you can like take on projects and pick up a few projects here or there. And I found a small business in my hometown who needed some help, and I kind of pretty much like stepped into a product management role there and did some UXW and UI work. I had to wear multiple hats, but that experience helped me land the position that I wanted that was paid and it being one of the highest paying jobs I had in my career because I took the time to do that. So yeah, sometimes you have to do that. I think people sleep on that. So like, I need to get paid. You gotta have a skill set to get paid first. People not gonna hire you to play on their stuff.
Gotta one term that people overlook is they've been telling us this since I can remember is skills pay the bills. I mean,
Mm,
we overlook it, but they've been
mm-hmm.
telling us this since the beginning.
Yeah.
Gotta have skills. So
Yeah, you got to have those skills for real, for real. So that is all good advice. We're gonna get ready to wrap up. So I have my 3 questions that I ask all of my guests that you just have to go through a ceremonial on Black Executive. So the first one is, what is your current read or a recommended read?
right now I'm reading a book called The Daily Stoic. It's a
Mm,
it's a 365-day meditation on wisdom,
mm,
perseverance, and the art of living. So it has nothing to do with anything I do. It's
that's
just
cool.
and pretty much it just teaches you how to not take things so serious, and also
Mm-hmm.
how to hold yourself accountable. So when stuff happens, don't always look at who was the reason why it happened. Like, what did I do
Mm,
to make this happen, or what can
mm,
I do to change the outcome next time?
mm. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Daily Stoic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
by Ryan Holiday.
Awesome, awesome. And if you're listening, you can find this on blackexecutive.com on Rod's webpage for this episode. And if you're watching, it'll be in the YouTube description below. All right, next question. So, how do you think your work impacts the Black community?
I would say that a lot of younger black males do kind of look at you. You may not know they're watching you, so you have to watch the way you. Well, I watch the way I move. I mean, I have a
Mm,
son, and I do coach youth sports, and the kids do watch how you move.
mm,
They watch what kind of car you drive. They watch how you dress. they watch how you. I mean, they watch everything, and they they take notice of how you smell, because that stuff is going to impact them. Like if you come
Yeah.
around and you look like a nice, clean cut guy, you got a nice vehicle, you look like you're doing something. They want to know, what are you doing to get where I can get there.
Mm.
So I always make sure I carry myself a certain way, especially around my son, because I want him to make sure he has no excuse to not do something right when he get older. Like you watched it from the beginning.
Right.
I just try to be the example. Like
Mm-hmm.
they say, they always say, don't. What does it say? They say, don't be the person. Something about don't be the person you wanted. Like be the person you needed when you were young.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that's what I try to do coming up. Just always be mindful of what I'm doing when I'm around the younger people. Like you can't help many older people, but the younger people are always looking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're always looking. Yeah, I love that. You have to be aware of the example that you're setting, and they're always observing.
oh
And
yeah.
you think they're not. All right. And what final advice do you have for fellow business professionals and entrepreneurs who are trying to carve their own paths?
You just gotta be patient.
Mm,
You gotta have a never die attitude. Always be learning.
mm,
Never feel like you know enough. Like even when you get into your job, like learn more. Like when I became a few years back, when I became a business analyst, I took a business analyst course. Even though
mm,
I had been one for like 3 years, I took a course.
mm,
It was like a $400 course. I just wanted to be more efficient in my job, which helped me get a
mm,
better job. It helped
mm,
me get the job that I got now. So
mhm,
you just always got to be learning. You got to always have patience, because it's not gonna happen on your time. Like you may
mhm.
feel like you're getting overlooked at a job, especially if you are a minority.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may feel like you get overlooked, but just work harder than the next person, because it might not be that job that gets you the opportunity you want. It might be another job that sees the potential.
Mhm,
And I guarantee you, when you leave that job that you're currently at, that did not give you the job, they're gonna be like, dang, we let some
mhm.
good talent leave.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that's really important when you are a valuable asset to your company and when you're a rarity in your field. They hate to lose you. They hate it. They hate
Definitely.
it. Yeah. All right, Rod. So, last question. How can people find you to keep pace with your creative journey?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's I am creative Rod, or you can find me on webrandculture.com. I don't post much on Instagram right now because I'm working on something, but I do. I have picked back up on my posting, so you can
Mhm.
follow me there on Instagram.
All right, so y'all heard that. That is how you can contact him. And if you're looking for someone to help you with your marketing, digital assets, what else? Y'all do so much stuff. Oh my gosh.
You need help with web design right now, web design or SEO,
Mhm.
or just branding in general, definitely hit us up. Webrandculture.com.
Hit them up for sure, for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to the audience today and sharing your expertise. I have enjoyed following your journey as I've known you and like kind of when I was still home, kind of seeing each other in the same places because great minds think alike.
Especially here, it's small areas. So,
Yeah, yeah, small town. So everybody knows who's actually about their business and who playing.
oh yeah, most definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, Rad. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for watching Blackxecutive. Join the conversation in the comments below and be sure to like and subscribe. You can find a full list of all available podcast episodes on blackxecutive.com or wherever you stream. Until next time, keep aspiring to inspire.